We have some major breaking news as 23 Racing and Federal Motorsports have dropped part of the lawsuit, but not all the lawsuit altogether. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news this evening going into tonight, as it has been confirmed that 23 Racing and Federal Motorsports have dropped part of the lawsuit. They haven't dropped the whole entire lawsuit altogether, but they've dropped part of the lawsuit they've been going after since the beginning. Here's what's reported by Jeff Gluck and Bob Pockrass as well. This is a bit complicated to explain, but 2311 and Front Row have dropped one part of their claim against NASCAR. They originally claimed NASCAR violated both Section 1 and 2 of the Sherman Antitrust Act, but now the teams are going to focus only on Section 2. Section 1 is more along the lines of whether NASCAR has monopoly power, and Section 2 is about using that monopoly power illegally. Since the judge already ruled this week that NASCAR has monopoly power, the teams are focusing their case on if NASCAR is using that power illegally. Continuing on what Bob Pockrass also reported as well, 23 Racing Federal Motorsports dropped part of the lawsuit, focusing on contracts required acts by two companies, Section 1 of the Sherman Act. They'll continue with Section 2, claiming of unilateral acts of one company. With ruling of NASCAR has monopoly in premier stock car racing, that is strongest claim. Basically, Bob continues on by saying, think of it this way. Section 1 would cover NASCAR and ISC working together to monopolize a market. Section 2 covers one company's unilateral acts. That has always been the strongest part of the case, so better to focus on that at trial. This is definitely a really big deal. They had claimed we're going after both acts of the claim, were Section 1 and Section 2. But as Jeff Gluck mentioned in his post, NASCAR got basically a little bit of a loss in this lawsuit. The teams got a little bit of favor this week in regards to the 2011 and Front Row Motorsports lawsuit, as the judge basically ruled in favor of 2011 Front Row on the fact that NASCAR, it seems like, is a pretty big monopoly at this point. He basically ruled in favor of the teams on that front. He actually ruled on the market definition when it comes to stock car racing, and ruled against NASCAR on the other side as well, where NASCAR is trying to basically go after certain other sports where the teams can race, where the NASCAR is trying to claim, oh, the teams can go race in Formula 1, they can go race in IndyCar, they can go race in the World of Outlaws. Well, Judge Kenneth Fell came back and ruled and basically said, well, those are not the same things as stock car racing. NASCAR is the premier stock car racing aspect. Well, basically, that's not this, basically going after Formula 1 and IndyCar. That is not the same thing. Open wheel racing, I think we all can agree, is way different than racing and stock car racing. And when you look at NASCAR, for example, they control ISC, they control a lot of the media companies, they control MRN and NRN, they control ISC, they control a lot of those big aspects as well. But the fact now that they've kind of gone away from Section 1 of the Antitrust Act when it comes to contracts and requirements, among other things, because I think some of the money kind of got released on that point, what this tells me is maybe we're not going to see anything involved with the tracks get involved. Maybe NASCAR will not have to give up control of ISC. If that's the case, that would be a really big deal for NASCAR, and this is something that could really help on that front. We obviously have talked about this quite a bit on the channel, but with more stuff kind of going in the direction of 23 Racing and Front Row Motorsports in this lawsuit, which, again, there's still a chance and possibility that 23 and Front Row could lose the lawsuit altogether, but the fact that more things are going in the favor of 23 and Front Row tells you that NASCAR is going to be so desperate trying to get this lawsuit cleared up. NASCAR has been for the last couple weeks, and media members have been saying that NASCAR has been pushing very cleverly to try to go ahead and get a settlement, and they're trying to resolve this before the trial takes place. Remember, the trial is supposed to take place on December 1st. And it sounded like a couple weeks ago, they were very close to having settlement done between 2011 Front Row and NASCAR. It sounded like they were very close to having permanent charters come into play. And of course, they ruled on other things as well, where NASCAR was going to let teams in the next negotiations, which those won't start till the end of the decade. They start around 2029, 2030 for the next upcoming TV deal, which will start in 2032. And the media rights deal as well, they were going to have more of an opportunity to pick up some of that and get more of in the negotiating table. It sounded like they were very close to agreeing on that. What it came down to, from what people like Jordan Bianchi said, was the legal fees and the money around other things as well. Basically, legal fees and 23 and Front Row wanting the money recouped that they lost from basically getting their charters taken back. But also, it was reported, too, that NASCAR was going to give 23 Racing and Front Row Motorsports their charters back altogether. And there has been a lot of push from the other teams that are not involved in this lawsuit. I didn't talk about this on the channel, but there's actually a deposition side of things that actually came came out from this as well, where Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske have been basically called in for deposition. They were on the witness stand. They were going to be part of the witness case for NASCAR's list. Them, Roger Penske, I believe Heather Gibbs is on the list as well, I'm pretty sure, and many other top owners were on that deposition list. But Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske were called by 2011 Front Row to be depositioned at this point because they basically were put in by the time the timeline was officially over at that point. And Matt Weaver also has written some things in an article as well on motorsports.com. I suggest going and checking it out. What he wrote is that defendants have obtained monopsony as a buyer of the services of premier stock car racing teams in a relevant market and violations of Section 2. He also says defendants have engaged in a series of anti-competitive and exclusionary conduct in furtherance of its monopolization of the relevant market, as aligned further throughout this complaint. These exclusionary acts are of a continuing nature and constitute new overt acts in furtherance of defendants' unlawful monopsony each year. He also says defendants acquired ISC to gain control of many of the most prominent racetracks in motorsports, including Daytona Speedway, Talladega, and Mid-Michigan International Speedway, along with NASCAR, assured that no market competitor either gained access to these elite racetracks, that being IndyCar, Formula One, other series like Kart, for instance, Champ Car, all that stuff many years ago. That would have been part of that. They also say defendants also eliminated a potential competitor by purchasing ARCA and its ARCA Menard Series event any potential competition with the Cup Series. Defendants have also unlawfully maintained their monopoly through the imposition of covenants not to compete with strict charter teams competing in any other stock car series or forming such a series. These covenants restrict the availability of the limited supply from mere stock car racing teams, which serves as a barrier to entry to other competitors. Defendants have further engaged in exclusionary conduct through their anti-competitive next-gen requirements, where you can't take the car, basically different parts. The mandatory release revision of the 2025 charter agreement is a further anti-competitive term which protects defendants' motions. He also says defendants' conduct in furtherance of their monopsony of the relevant market is exclusionary in nature, does not consist of legitimate business activities, and is an abuse of its market position. There is no pro-competitive justification for this exclusionary and anti-competitive conduct. And there's some other very interesting as well. If you want to check out Matt Weaver's article, I suggest you do. But quintessentially at this point, there's a lot of things that are going to change if this does go to trial. I think the best thing that could happen at this point is a settlement. I think everyone in the industry really wants a settlement at this point. And I think as we do get closer to trial in the coming weeks, because remember, the trial is only about 25 days away at this point, there's going to be a major push from the other organizations like Rick Hendrick, Roger Penske, Joe Gibbs, Ty Gibbs, and other people involved with this are going to be really absolutely 100% pushing for a settlement, because they know that if they do go to trial, because there's a chance and possibility that the judge could rule in favor of getting rid of the charters. That's not saying it's going to happen, but there is a chance that the charters could get removed altogether. And I think at this particular moment in point, I don't think that would be the best aspect for the sport at this point, is for the charter agreement to go away. I know there's a lot of people who don't like the charter agreement, which I completely understand, but I think getting rid of the charter agreement is not going to be a good look, and I think the sport is going to be looking a lot different if this goes to trial. I thought maybe a week or so ago we'd reach a settlement. I think there still is a chance we could get a settlement, but every single day this goes through, the chances do get slimmer, and I think there's a chance we could be going to trial, and it'll be good for me so I can cover the story over the next couple weeks. But at the same token, same time, I think the best outcome for the sport currently at the moment is try to reach a settlement. Hope we can reach a settlement in this industry and move forward on the story and kind of focus on 2026, because NASCAR and executives are really wanting to get this thing settled very soon. Hopefully that does happen here in the not so distant future. So that's going to take special breaking news on part of the lawsuit being dropped from 2011 in Front Row. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on to notify when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go to below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about 2011 Racing Front Row Motorsports dropping part of the lawsuit, but not the whole entire lawsuit in general? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And do you think this still will go to trial in December? If not, do you think it will get settled? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing this over the course of the last couple days. We got some silly season stuff to talk about. We've got some lawsuit updates to go over. We got some other stuff to go over from the last couple of days as well. We're also on Saturday going to be doing the rankings of every single race in 2025 in the NASCAR Cup Series. And then on Sunday, we're going to be doing the top 20 drivers to watch out for in 2026. And then Monday, we might be doing the first team preview video on the channel for like Hendrick Motorsports, something like that. But I'm not entirely sure at this point. We got content coming on people like Haley Hailie Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Will Brown, Brian Finney, Cam Waters, Clayton Zafar, and Dodge Ram, Red Bull, Connor Zilish, Junior Motorsports, Daniel Suarez, all the good stuff. There's a lot of fun content dropping on the channel in the coming days and weeks, and we'll talk about on the channel as we progress to the end of the year and head into 2026 as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.